All right, welcome today to our presentation. We're going to be talking about winning with local service ads by Google. This is something that's been around for a little while, but Google has actually expanded this. How you doing today, Mike? They have expanded this back in December, and so they've enhanced the categories, expanded those out. There's actually more opportunities now for lead flow in the home remodeling space. And so we want to make you aware of those opportunities, make this a little more lucrative for you. And so that's part of what we want to get into today is some of this expanded category that's taking place within local service ads. And local service ads have traditionally produced pretty good return on investment for those that are using it. So a lot of people aren't even aware these are available, and especially with these expanded categories, we want to draw attention to that. Doing great today, Mike, other than it's extremely cold. It was -6 when I woke up this morning. So I think it's warmed up to, I think, 18 here in Wichita today. So not too bad. So let's jump in. First of all, we'll get started here. What we're going to cover today is what are Google local services. So I want to give you a breakdown of how Google is structuring so you're familiar with what that is, where it's active, how it works, how you can jump on board with Google local services if you haven't already, what it's going to take to rank in those top three results on the Google local services, and then how you can take advantage of high quality leads with a low cost per lead and then maximize your return on investment to
Oh,
truly
I'm already in
win
another one.
with these local service ads because we want to make this a real win-win for you if you're going to use this. And so if you have not attended any of our webinars before, who I am. My name is Carl Willis. I am the CEO and founder of Remodeling Marketing Team. I've been marketing online since 1997, back in the dial up days. I'm the author of Internet Marketing for Home Remodeling Companies. I also co authored The Ultimate Guide to AI Tools for Home Remodelers, creator of the Marketing Classroom, have been an international keynote speaker on business growth and lead generation, and then widely accepted as a go-to expert on internet marketing for home remodeling businesses, and have worked with companies across the US and internationally. And so when you hear me talk, you're always going to hear me talk about the ecosystem. And this is the ecosystem we talk about. So when we're talking about a home remodeling company or a residential contractor, and we talk about your marketing ecosystem, we're talking about these 8 components in this pie. And as we talk about Google LSA today, that's going to go into this paper lead category. And the paper lead category is going to be the component of the pie that we're going to be discussing today. And so other things that might go into the paper lead category would be things like e-local networks, and then you might also be using other paper lead services. The thing that's going to be different in Google LSA is typically paper lead services are going to resell leads over and over again. So the common denominator in most pay-per-lead services is they are going to resell those leads 3 to 10 times. And what's going to happen in a Google LSA situation is it's going to be exclusive to whoever they give that lead to. So that's one of the things that makes it unique. That's one of the things that makes it a little better return on investment. That's why a lot of people are finding good success, good ROI with this. And just as a side note, I did a podcast interview last week. It is live on YouTube. It's going to go live on the podcast channels here in the next week with uh, Tommy Mello. And Tommy's got a $220 million garage door service business. Google LSA is actually his number one highest ROI lead generation source across his entire business. And so he gives all of his strategy for that. So that's something you may want to listen to on the podcast, and I'll throw a link into that video at the end of our webinar today. So that's what we want to look at in the ecosystem. That's where this fits in. It's a pay-per-lead play. And so let's talk about what are Google local services. So when you look at how a search is structured, so if I'm searching for home remodelers, Dallas, Texas, the way that Google is now structuring that result is they're going to put local services up at the very top of the page. And at the very top, you're going to see the sponsored. So that means those are the Google guaranteed contractors who are spending money for Google local service ads. So the way Google is now breaking out their search results is you have all of the Google guaranteed businesses, which are the businesses that have been screened by Google and have that Google guaranteed badge. And then you've got below that the maps listings, the traditional local business listings on Google. And then below that, you have the regular Google pay-per-click ads, and then you have the Q&A section, and then you have all of the organic website information. So what's happening is Google is giving favoritism to their Google guaranteed customers. And so that's the first thing that you want to look at. Home remodeling is obviously built on trust. And one of the things that Google is looking to overcome is this skepticism that a homeowner may have due to bad experiences. And so what the LSA is going to do is it's going to position your business as a vetted and credible contractor in your area. And what Google is doing is Google's putting up the guarantee saying that if the consumer has a bad experience, they're willing to put up some money to help compensate that consumer for the bad experience, adding a layer of protection and reassurance to the consumer. And so because of the level of competition, there's got to be some strategy to this, not just participation, because you've got, a group of businesses that are all doing Google guaranteed. So you've got to have some strategy behind this, not just participating in the program, but there's also strategy to make it work to your advantage. And so when you look at this, there's two modalities that the consumer can use in this pay-per-lead program. They can either call you direct from the ad and from the listing, or they can message you, and that message will come in to you directly, or the phone call will come in to you directly, either one. So they have two choices. You can choose not to enable the messaging selection if you don't want to. So we've got some clients that would prefer not to respond to the messages. They want phone call only. The great thing about that is those phone calls are all recorded. So you can, look back and listen to those calls. You can see how they're being handled. You can see, especially if you've got other people handling those calls, are they being handled well? Is there a sales process issue, within the office? All of those types of things. So there's two modalities of contact that the Google LSAs are going to work off of, either the message or the phone number. Again, people are multiple modality. I kind of like to use both if you've got the capacity to handle, within the office, somebody to handle those incoming messages and phone calls. But if you're not capable of doing that, at least the phone call scenario works well. So here's why this is so critical for you. The LSAs are Google's way of connecting homeowners with trusted contractors. And what Google's really trying to do is, they saw Angie's and House and Porch and all these other people making great money off of pay-per-lead programs, but they also knew that the weakness of pay-per-lead programs was those leads were being resold over and over and over. That was the Achilles heel. That was everybody's complaint, was lead quality. And so Google said, you know what, let's create higher quality leads because we're not reselling them. And let's give the consumer confidence that if they have a bad experience, we'll actually put up some money as a guarantee that they're going to have a great experience with this contractor because we've already vetted them. And so here's the critical things we want to look at. 87% of consumers search Google when they're looking for home service providers. And it is the number one place that your customers are looking when they need your services. And so local service ads, and I showed you this in the breakdown a moment ago, are what come up first in the search results, both mobile and desktop. And remember, Google is giving favoritism to this category. It is Google's favorite thing to put up there front and center. So the way they are now breaking down search results is all the Google guaranteed listings are first. Those who are running local service ads are showing at the top of those Google guaranteed listings. Then below that, you have the traditional local business listings or the map listings. Then below that, you have the traditional pay-per-click ads. And then below that, you have the questions and answers. And then below that, you finally get down to the website. So what is actually starting to happen is Google is steadily pushing your website down to the bottom of the page into oblivion. And so, to stay visible, this becomes critical that your Google business profile stays at the top of the page. And this Google Guaranteed program is a way of doing that. So there is no higher intent prospect than the customer who is proactively looking for your services at that moment in time. They are raising their hand saying, I am interested in what you have to offer. So it's important that you have a plan to win that contest when they raise their hand and say, here I am now in the market and I am now available and I am now looking. And so we want to take advantage of that. And so we want to have that maximum visibility, that prime piece of real estate. Great thing about local service ads is they are active across the country. Google has rolled that out nationwide. And even now with these expanded categories, like I said, starting in December, they rolled out kitchen remodeling and bath remodeling as separate categories. It used to be there was just general contractor as a category, and kitchen and bath remodeling were stuck up under there. Well, in December, they actually broke out kitchen remodeling and bath remodeling as separate categories apart from the general contractor category. And so it allows you to even further specialize the services you offer to match up to what people are searching for. Now, let me say this really quickly as just kind of a side note. Depending on your location, if you're a general contractor, depending on the location, Google may require some other licensing that you document when you expand into these other categories. So I'll give you an example. We've got a general contractor in Utah that when we expanded into the bathroom remodeling and kitchen remodeling categories, kitchen remodeling, all of their GC documentation, we didn't have to provide anything else. But when we expanded into the bathroom remodeling category, then Google was looking for a plumbing license. And we also had that happen with a contractor in the Durham, North Carolina area. So when we expanded into kitchen remodeling, their current licensing we had on file for the GC work was fine. When we expanded into the bathroom remodeling section, they were looking for a plumbing license as well. So just know you may run into that. Other parts of the country, we've been able to expand, and all they did was look at the insurance again. or in some cases, they didn't require any other documentation or any re-verification. So it's all going to depend on your location when you expand these categories, but it's going to give you more opportunities to connect with more search traffic and more fine-tuned search traffic. So that's some good news for you coming into 2025. Now, let's talk about, again, how it impacts your search results. So we take that same search, home remodelers, Dallas, Texas, or kitchen remodeling, Dallas, Texas, or bathroom remodeling, Dallas, Texas. This is the breakdown of that search result page. Google local services are here at the top of the page. And the top results in the Google local services results are those that are running Google local service ads. And what I mean by that is there may be multiple contractors who have passed the Google Guaranteed program. They have the Google Guaranteed stamp of approval, the big check mark, but they're not necessarily running local service ads. And so Google will give preference to those running the ads. So in the breakdown of these contractors here, the ones running ads will be shown first. Those that aren't running ads will be shown secondary. Then from there, you're going to get into your Google AdWords. So the top billing on the map or the local listings are going to be people who are running ads to the Google Maps. So they get the next highest visibility. And then you get the Google business listings as third. And then you finally come down into your regular Google search results. So for the highest value piece of real estate, Google local services and running Google local services ads specifically is going to give you the highest value real estate. So let's talk about how those ads work, how they're different from traditional Google ads, Google pay-per-click ads, which most people are fairly familiar with. So first of all, there's a setup process. And that setup process is you have to pass Google's background check. And that's the owner plus the employees if necessary. And when we talk employees, that's going to be anybody that is a W-2 employee that actually works for you. You have to provide your business licenses and your insurance. And the cost model on this, unlike traditional Google ads, which are pay-per-click, where you're just going to pay for anybody that clicks, this is a pay-per-lead model. So you are only paying for the person that contacts you directly by phone or by message. And so the average costs that we've been seeing, depending on the service requested, is running between $25 to $95 per lead, depending on the location and the type of service requested. Those could change again over time and could vary by city or industry, but that's what we're seeing kind of across the board. On the low end, about 25 per lead. On the high end, 95 per lead. And so that's kind of the range that we see overall. Form submissions are generally going to cost you a little less than the phone leads. And then you've got some control options as well. You're able to set adjustable weekly budgets, and then you're also able to dispute invalid leads. Those could be those outside of your service area, phone solicitations, all of those things. And I'll show you a screenshot here in a few minutes to just show you how that system works. So when you get into your Google local service dashboard, so you've gotten approved, they've done your background check, you're good to go. When you come in, you get a choice. You can let Google set the bid automatically, or you can manually set your max bid. And what you're telling them is this is how much I'm willing to bid for the service. And so you set your maximum bid for whatever that service is. So the example I'm using here is for an HVAC company. So they were setting theirs at 22 per lead. If you do it automatically, it'll just run automatically. And so what happens is once you set that, Google will start sending you leads. And as you can see, this is one of our clients that I pulled yesterday. The leads just start coming in. Now, they're not doing any message leads, they're just doing phone leads. And as you can see, one of the things that they've gotten here, they've got a credit of $129.82 that's going to go towards their lead billing in the following month, because you can see they've got some of the leads that have come in that have been credited. They just weren't good leads. And the way that this system works is this dashboard here works like a CRM. And one of the things that's important with Google local service ads is you want to note for Google the quality of these leads. Was it a good lead? Did you book an appointment with that lead? Did you book a job with that lead? Did you do the work? Did you close it out? What that's going to do is train the algorithm on what is the best type of lead for you, because Google wants to send you good leads. They want to continue to send you the right kind of leads so that you're spending money with them. But if you look, this is a full service home remodeler, custom home builder, and they do light commercial work here in Wichita. So they've had home remodeling, kitchen cabinets, home build, and a custom project, all so far here in the last week and a half. And they've gotten a couple of these credited because they weren't great leads. So they've got a credit on some of those. And so when a lead comes in, what that looks like is this. It'll show the lead came in. It'll show if it was credited or charged. And Google's pretty good about telling you up front if it's a bad lead out of the area or it was a spam call with solicitation. And so they may automatically credit some of those right offhand. It'll tell what lead type it was. It was a phone lead. The category was for general contractor. What they were looking for was home remodel and renovation, the location. And then there's an area for the contractor to add their own notes, customer name, customer email, their own notes. Here's a recording of the phone call so it can be listened to again. And then you can go in and rate the lead. If it's not a good lead, you can rate it that is not a good lead. If it's a great lead, you can rate that. That's important. It's going to help train Google's algorithm so the lead quality gets better. That's key. We want the best lead quality for the best return on investment with these leads. And then if you booked an appointment with this lead, then you're going to mark it as booked. And that's also going to help the algorithm understand what types of searches are leading to booked appointments for you, for your estimator, as to get you the best result on the lead flow that they are giving you. So let me read your note there real quick, Mike. Yeah, what you can do on that, Mike was asking this question. I'm going to read it real quick because this one's great. We wanted to sign up for Google Local Services. We specialize in kitchen installation in Florida. However, Google's asking for general contractor's license for verification, and we're not general contractors. When selecting our niche at the very beginning of the Google Local Services registration, I couldn't find any suitable category for kitchen installation. What should we do? How can we register? Mike, I would go back in because they have just changed that up and see if you can find kitchen remodeling under the categories because that category was just added in December, and it may have not been listed when you first went in. See if it's listed now and try it from that direction. If not, the second category you may go after is handyman. And then under handyman, there may be kitchen remodeling under that as well. So that may be the workaround for you to try there. Now, how are you charged for these local services? You set a weekly budget that limits the total number of leads that you receive in any given week. So, for example, if you set a $2,000 a month budget, that's a $500 a week budget. That's going to be $71 per day. If your cost per lead is $35, that means you're going to get 57 leads per month maximum. 14 leads per week, 2 per day. Now, here's the thing I will tell you that we do find with Google local service ads, they often don't max out your budget. And so a lot of times what you have to do is get aggressive with your budget. So it's not uncommon for us to have to set budgets at 3 to 4 times what our target is to get to the level of spend that we're trying to get, depending on the amount of competition in that market. So don't be afraid to go aggressive. Just know you're going to want to stay on top of your ad spend if you're having to get aggressive like that, but that's not uncommon. If you've got a lot of competition, you may have to get more aggressive in your bidding to make that happen. Now, you may get different numbers of leads from day to day, but you're never going to spend more than your designated weekly budget. Again, the biggest challenge we've seen over the last few months as it's gotten more competitive is actually spending your budget. And so my hope is with these new category rolling out, it's not going to be as hard to do that because it's going to free up some more competition. But again, get aggressive in your budgeting and set a higher target budget, and that should free that up more for you. There's also some other things you can do to really help you out, and we'll talk about that here in a minute with how you optimize your Google business profile to make it more attractive to Google to give you an edge over your competition in who they're going to award those leads to. You also have the ability to rate those leads. So if you receive a lead that's not valid, Google will credit those bad leads. So working your leads constantly is going to be important. If you're not working your leads regularly, Google's going to assign those leads to somebody else. So speed to lead is going to be critical. You want to be working your leads consistently. If you're not working them consistently, Google will give them to someone else. So that's one of the things we've had to train clients on. If you're going to fart around and not work your leads, Google's going to recognize that and they will give those leads to somebody else, even if you've got a budget that's substantial. So they're wanting to take care of their consumers. They want to make sure the customer has a good experience. And let me say this. This is my pet peeve because we've seen this with some of our clients. Answer your phone. If you're going to send people to these phones, they are expecting somebody to pick up the phone. Don't send them to a voicemail. Don't send them to an answering machine. Make sure somebody's answering the phone. Google's taking note of responsiveness. And if you are an unresponsive contractor, they're going to send these leads somewhere else. It's just the name of the game. People want instant gratification. The more you can make that happen, the better you're going to do with these local service ads. So let's talk about why leads won't count, what leads aren't going to be counted against you, what leads would be credited back as a credit. Solicitation. The call was from a wrong number. They're trying to sell you a product or service. They're from somebody looking for work. They called and didn't discuss your business. Spam, it's pre-recorded. The call was not from a live human. The location is not a location you serve. So they call and they communicate that they're from out of the area, and it's not an area that's listed on your profile. They call and they're asking for a service that you don't offer, and it's a service that's not listed on your Google business profile. The caller's looking for a physical store or a location for something to buy other than a service. Then, of course, you're going to be able to have that disputed and get that credited back as well. So here's some of the feedback that we get from active users. Lower cost per lead than pay-per-click. And again, the reason for that is a good pay-per-click campaign is going to convert at about 25 to 30%. And that means you're going to pay for 65 to 75% of those clicks that don't convert. So you're spending a lot of money on clicks that don't convert. Whereas here, you're just simply paying for leads. Those leads are pre-screened. It's a higher quality lead than, say, Home Advisor or Angie's or House or any of these other services, because number one, that lead is not being resold. So it's not being sold over and over and over again. Everybody who's been in the business for a while and bought leads has had the pain of calling up leads and they're like, I don't even know where you got my number from. And that just is frustrating to you. It's frustrating to the consumer. So it's a higher quality lead because they are actively searching. That's where Google is getting these people from. You're still going to get some price shoppers, so it's important that you're going to have to follow up quickly. Again, they haven't bought into you. They haven't been to your website. They're just hitting you because you're at the top of the page. So you're going to have to do with a little bit of that price shopping mentality still. But again, you're at the top of the page. There's some confidence because you're Google guaranteed. That's going to help. And then most of the clients who have used Google local service ads have seen solid ROI. Now, what you may have to do is you may have to kind of figure out which services you want to be shown for in the Google local service ads. You may find you're getting too many calls for lower ticket services. And if that's the case, then you may want to deselect some of the categories that you're being displayed for in those local service ads, so that you're dealing with more of the higher, price point consumers and the larger jobs. So that's the one thing I will tell you, and that's just kind of feeling out your market and seeing what type of traffic Google is sending to you, and you'll figure that out fairly quickly. Next thing we want to look at is why this really is a no-brainer for most home remodeling contractors. Number one, you can show up at the top of the results where your potential clients are looking. You're only paying on a pay-per-lead basis. You're not paying for clicks that don't convert. And it's a lower cost per lead than pay-per-click because you're not paying for those dead clicks. You typically are going to have higher quality leads than a Home Advisor or an Angie's List or anything like that because they're not being resold. And then you have the ability to modify your budget based on schedule. So if you find that you're backlogged, you can decrease your budget down. You can shut your ads off if you need to for a while. It's not going to hurt you. That's the great thing. There's a lot of flexibility with this program, and so it works really well. And because of the vetting by Google, you've just got a lot of advantages over these lead aggregators. You've got direct connection with the leads. You're not competing with multiple contractors for that same lead. It's a very clean, smooth process. So how do you get set up? Well, what you want to do is you want to, number one, you could work with us and let us help you through that process. But if you want to do it yourself, you can always sign up for the local services at adwords.google.com/local services/sign up. So that's the link there, and you can take a screenshot of that. Once you get in there, what you're going to do is you're going to see a screen like this. It's going to talk to you about connect with more customers. It's going to talk to you about the Google Guaranteed badge and how to get that. It'll show you a continue button, and you go through that, you enter your information, and they're going to ask you for your documentation, licensing, insurance, background check information on the owner, the W-2 employees. And this process will take a couple of weeks to get through. You'll have to have a verified Google business profile. So if you haven't done that already, you'll need to set up your Google business profile. You'll need to verify it. You'll need to claim it. And you'll need to make sure you've got all of those things done. Now, that brings us to this next piece of the equation. How do you win at this? How do you make sure you're the one who gets the highest visibility? You get the best results out of this. How do you make the rankings work? Well, in your Google business profile, it really operates off of a couple of things. It operates off of proximity to the potential customer's location. Secondarily, it works off of the review score and the number of reviews you receive. So here's the points I really want to drive home to make the local service environment work for you. Is number one, consider proximity to the customer's location. So Google business profiles and local service ads work extremely well in a 5 to 10 mile radius. 5 miles is ideal. You can stretch out to 10 miles most of the time and do all right if you're doing things correctly. So physical location is going to impact your visibility in the search results. And let me say this, a lot of contractors work as a local service business and they don't show a physical address. If you can show a physical address, you're going to perform better in these ads and you're going to perform better in the local searches with your Google business profile. So even if you rent a low-cost virtual office that you have a desk, a chair, and a sign, you're still going to do better. So think about having a physical location. It's going to impact your visibility. Consider additional locations if you need to, and then look at your volume and quality. Review score, I can't emphasize this enough. Ideally, if you can pick up a new review every 2 weeks, that's a good pace. And when you ask for reviews, ask your customers to talk about what services you performed for them. So don't just have somebody leave you a review that said, Mike did a great job for us. Have them leave a more thorough review that Mike and his team remodeled our bathroom and our kitchen. They put in new countertops, new sink, and new flooring. We love what they did to our home. Much better review. It's got keywords that can be indexed. And if you want to take it a step further, ask them to submit some pictures of the work with their review, because those pictures will be geotagged and it's user-generated content. You will win the game off of that playbook right there. So have them leave reviews, get reviews regularly, and then respond to those reviews. So your responsiveness to inquiries and requests are critical. You want to respond to reviews generally within the first 24 to 48 hours. Also use keywords in your response. Write a sentence or two on that response. Hey, thank you for letting us remodel your kitchen and bathroom. We really enjoyed, turning your kitchen into a place where you can entertain family and friends. And now you've got some keywords back in there, shows you're responsive, shows you care, and you took the time to put some thought into your response. And then when you leave those reviews through the Google Business Profile and through the LSA platform, it's going to carry extra weight in your rankings. You also want to make sure your business hours are up to date. And here's a little secret: if you'll show your business hours as 24 hours a day, you'll perform better in local search rankings. And you say, well, but we're not in the office 24 hours a day. Well, if you have a form on your website, you're actually open 24 hours a day. If you have a virtual attendant on your website, you're open 24 hours a day. So just be thinking in the way consumers operate today and the way Google looks at things. Um, you want to look at whether or not Google has received serious or repeated complaints about your business. If they have, you want to deal with whatever those issues are. Again, good consumer experience is the name of the game for local services and local visibility when it comes to Google. Um, and so good business practices is what Google's looking for. They want to give their consumer the best possible experience. And so the thing that we want to look at is that in addition to these ranking factors, Google is going to attempt to spread out the leads that you receive over time. And that's to prevent you from spending your entire budget early in your budget period. And so if your ad is generating leads more quickly than your budget can accommodate, what you may see is that your ranking is affected or your ad gets paused temporarily to more evenly spread out your leads. And so you just want to understand the way that this whole system is going to operate and the way that Google is going to put leads to you, the way that they're going to assess lead quality and whether or not you need more lead flow. And so your flow of reviews, the quality of reviews, your reputation, the speed of your response, all of these things are going to be factors in your lead flow, how consistent it is, and how often you're seeing leads come in. Now, a couple of things you want to do within your local services dashboard is, and also on your Google business profile. Number one, dial in your service area. Get really clear on the areas you want to serve. Zip codes, communities, neighborhoods. Know where your best target audience, your best target customers are at, and focus on those areas. Also, make sure your profile is up to date. Google is always adding things to your business profile. So they've added service categories, they've added product categories. Make sure you've filled all of those things out completely. And then make sure you've got your budget set. When you get jobs in that CRM, make sure that you note that they are booked and then also deal with any disputes that you get. Google wants to see that you're responsive. And then always be asking for reviews from anybody you've done business with through the LSA. Those verified reviews are going to be critical to boosting your rating within the Google LSA system. And so your target in reporting is an 85% booking rate. So that's what you want to be aiming for. If you can hit that target, you're going to do very well in this program. Google will see that you're a great vendor to work with. They'll see that you're taking good care of their customers, and they're going to want to continue to supply you with leads because it's a good relationship for them, it's a good relationship for the consumer, and it's a good relationship for you. So we've talked about dialing in your profile. So that's the first thing that we want to take a look at. How do you dial in your profile? So this is the back end of the Google local service ad dashboard. This is where the profile is at. So on there, it's got all of your contact information, your budget information, what types of jobs you're willing to do. And so a couple of things that you want to put in your profile. You want to set your budget. And like I said, open it up if you have the capacity because these are cost-effective leads. One of the things you're going to find is Google may not meet your budget, so you may want to actually get aggressive with it to actually get to where you're trying to spend. It's not uncommon for us to go to 3 times or 4 times our actual spend target to get Google to actually spend at that level. So don't be afraid to do that. You'll have to test to see if they're hitting those levels for you. Be sure and update your ad schedule. When do you want your ads running? Be sure and set up your business bio and write a bio that focuses on the homeowner's needs and solutions. So one of the mistakes that I see a lot of contractors make is they talk too much about themselves and not enough about the homeowner. So when you're writing your bio, make it homeowner centric. Talk to the homeowner. It's about them, it's not about you. Set up your job types. What types of jobs do you want to do? What types of work are you looking for? And there's toggle switches in this profile section. So you just toggle, we want to do backsplashes, tile work, shower and tub installations. We don't want to do bidets. We don't want to do toilets. So you can select what you want to work on or not work on. Specify all the job types that you are offering, set up your service areas, update your business hours, and then add photos. Add photos all the time. Show photos of your work, showcase what you're able to do, let the consumer see your capabilities, and then use a personality photo as the primary. One of the key factors for developing trust is people like to do business with people. And so have photos of people as part of those photos that you're using to showcase your work. Who am I going to be dealing with when you come out to my home so that I know who I'm going to be working with? That's going to be extremely helpful for building trust in this process. Mark your jobs as booked. We've talked about that already. You've got a marked booked button there at the top. That's going to help train the algorithm. It's going to make your lead quality even better over time. And so Google will rate your responsiveness by how well you complete your jobs, mark them as either booked or scheduled, add the customer details, include an email address, and then archive any non-converted opportunities. The more Google sees you're working their CRM in this back system, the better that algorithm is going to work for you, the better quality of leads that you're going to get. Make sure to deal with any disputes that you get. You've got a dispute button. They actually took that away, I think, this here in December. They're doing that automatically. They're doing a pretty good job of it. But what you're able to do is rate the lead. So you can go into that actual lead and rate it. You're not going to be charged for disqualified leads if they're outside your area, if it's not a service you provide, if they're telemarketing, you're not going to be charged for those. You'll get a credit. And then drive verified reviews. And so you always want to be looking for reviews because the number of reviews is a major driver of ranking in local services. So provide great service always. Leverage the dashboard to drive verified reviews by entering the name and email and click the request review button when your work is completed. And what will happen is you'll start to get reviews like this in your Google business profile. It'll say Google verified job next to the work. And so anybody who is looking at you on the local service ad will see that you've done work from that local service ad. And then, like we said, you want to target an 85% plus booking rate with your local service ads. And what that does is it shows that you are a premier vendor that Google can count on, that you do a good job of converting those leads to business. And that's what Google is looking for, is somebody who will take good care of the consumer. And so they will track your booking rate based on the charged leads. So you can monitor that as you go along. And then to increase your lead flow from local services, open up your budget. And again, as we said, you're probably not going to find a lower cost per qualified lead. Great ROI. Again, I'm going to put a link here in a minute to uh, a podcast interview I did last week with a garage door service company owner. This is his lowest ROI tool. He's got a $220 million a year business, and he gives all of his secret tricks for making this thing his lowest ROI marketing platform. Expand your service areas, job types, ad schedule, and business hours. This will help you increase your lead flow. Be sure and close out every lead. Show it is either booked, scheduled, or archived. Make sure you're working that internal CRM diligently, and then request verified reviews on every job that you complete. And then if you need help, you can post "Let's Talk" in the comments. You can always reach out to us at Remodeling Marketing Team. And let's open it up for Q&A. What questions, challenges, uh, or things are you wanting to know that I haven't covered for you about Google local service ads? And while we're waiting to see if there's any questions, there's the link to the podcast interview. You can bookmark that. He spends about 7 or 8 minutes talking about his Google LSA and Google Business Profile strategy. All right, perfect. Well, if we can be of help to you, we'll close it out here. We would love to work with anybody who's on the call today. Remodelingmarketingteam.com gets started. If you're interested in working with us on your marketing, we'd be happy to partner with you. Thanks for coming out. Next month, we're going to cover Facebook ads, and we'll get the information out on that webinar here in the next week or two. Thanks for joining me.